Hello, everyone. Hello. We are so happy to talk to you. Hi, Lori Dovey. How are you?
Ivy. I'm pretty good here on the
Yeah.
Côte d'Azur where the sun is still
Wonderful.
setting and it's 8 o'clock at night with the sea. I
Wow.
don't know if you can see the sea right behind me, the Mediterranean. It's right
Yeah, I can actually. I can't
there.
really see the sea, but I see the light of the
And
ocean. Yeah.
that's Saint-Jean Cap Ferrat, this beautiful peninsula
Hmm.
that I go hiking on. Anyways, incredible
One
place.
day you'll take us on a tour.
Yes, I can do that. I can do that.
So
Love
I'd
to.
like to start this by calling in the presence before we bring in MIRICRIS. Let's call in. Let's reach up with have everyone reach up with your mind as a sculpting tool. Reach up into infinity plus one and draw down those beautiful golden streams of light and be conscious of actually feeling them come down and move round and around and around your body until they pop right into the core of the earth. They pop back up and just flood all around us. And let's invite in MIRICRIS. Are you ready, Lori?
I am ready.
We 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 are here. There's a lot of laughter coming through. We are here with you at this time. You have a rather strange time on your planet. Do you understand this? And you have met these times several times in the history of mankind. What you have is the corruption and the destruction of huge aspects of your planet. You understand that? But we will say to you that there are a great number of purposes of this. The destruction is those who want to be in charge, want to clear away all the debris of other people. And they are many of those who are in charge and creating this kind of turmoil are beings who are quite conscious of having been through it before. You understand that? You hear about the Rothschilds and those long-term family units, and they have many of them have a cognizance of having been through the mill in many ways. They want to be in charge, and your Mr. Trump is quite aware that he will not live through this kind of melee, but he will come back and come back and come back. He's not worried about it. He wants to own the world. Do you understand that? And
Yes.
it's not only him. It's not only him, Lori. It is a group that he, what would you say, hangs with, and um, and the different countries which are dictatorial governments and so on. There's a collaboration between Mr. Trump and his attitudes and theirs. 2025, they call it. And we say to you that it is not impossible to get through this very tight noose or tourniquet, as we talked to this one about it. It's not impossible, but what it's going to take is a great number of minds and hearts sending their light out and through and blessing and lifting one another. Oh, not in a superficial way. Oh, holy me, holy me. No, in the blessing of helping with some of the migrants, but also becoming spokespeople on your internet and talking all the time about the evolution of the species that is possible. You see that this species called humanity is available to evolve at this time, is available, should even you pass through over this period of time. There is still a great deal of evolution because when you pass, consciousness goes with you. Do you understand that? And the consciousness that you have with you as you pass rises up through the next, what would you call it? The next iteration of being humanity on this planet. We have to say also that your planet is facing quite dangerous destruction. So it's not only you that would move through and huge groups of people, but it is the actual globe, the actual um, Earth itself moving through huge changes, morphing into a more, we would say that the Earth will become more, if we say frequency, higher frequency, it's not just that the Earth will move through changes and be embraced by the changing frequencies in the universes. You must understand that because the universes are moving up. They are creating higher and higher frequency realms. And that is what nurtures many of the planets and other star systems that are out there. Do you understand all that?
Mhm.
There's nothing to be afraid of except if it should continue, and we're not sure about this, but should it continue to a moment of destruction, and it would be like a moment in time, destruction of your planet, it won't, much of the pain that's going on at this time is through the slow destruction of civilizations. But if it becomes a total changing environment, many people will feel nothing. They'll just suddenly find themselves on the other side, which should take care of some of the panic in many, many people right now.
Hmm.
Because it does look like the whole world is facing destruction.
Hmm. MIRICRIS. We've talked about this every week, and this is the first time you have ever mentioned possible destruction. You had always spoken that we would get through this.
Did you hear how we spoke of it? You will get through this. It may not be an intact humanity on the same global structure.
Okay.
We're saying that another way of putting it is that it is becoming much more dire.
I
See,
see. As the time goes
much,
on, we're
yes,
reaching that critical state. And this is why it's so important that people get on the evolutionary train.
yes.
Absolutely. I was very surprised. I want to share something with you really quick. I have a new little friend here in Villefranche, and I mentioned to him that I do this political spiritual show on YouTube. He goes, "Oh, send me the link." I send him the link. You know what he says?
No.
It's not for me. And I think that was just such a, it's like, wow, there's that other 70% that, you've said maybe 30% would evolve. But when it's staring at you, it's not that I expect everybody to listen to YouTube and metaphysical channels, but to just be so about it was very surprising. And then I have to make my own decisions
Laura, you
about
realize
this.
that many believe they're ironclad.
Well, he said it's an opinion. And I said, that's a much bigger discussion. This is, as channeling miracles is not an opinion.
Mhm.
So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that in there because I know audience
Thank you.
members are having
Mhm.
some of the same issues with people in their lives, friends, family, who just forget the politics. How about just to rise up? So tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about evolutionary upwising, Mira Chris.
Uh, we want to reiterate that beliefs are ironclad for some people. And so is inherited belief, and so is, oh, the family realms and so on, is very, very difficult to awaken a huge mass of people at a time. And yet, this is happening. There are people who know they've got lives beyond not passing and having lives, but they know that their life could be much more abundant, much more transcendent, much more resilient in the face of pressure. They know this. They know it in their heart and soul. and they rise into the occasion. But that's not very many people. For those around them who are trapped in ironclad belief structures, will not budge. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Which
Mm-hmm.
is why we suggested 30% would be a pretty big percentage. You see, 30%. Some people don't want any change from their inherited memories and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some people don't want any change at all.
No, and this defies politics too, because this person I'm referring to is progressive left wing, which, I don't know. It's just a different way of looking at life that I'm not familiar with. But
And what does progressive left wing?
it means
We
they're
have some
anti,
objection to those
sorry.
terms like left wing, right wing, progressive. We have some objection to those terms.
Well, what I'm trying to point out is just because they're open-minded politically, they're not open-minded on the spiritual realm, which I find just really incongruent. But maybe our audience can speak to this. This is a great conversation for people to write in the comments section, please, about
I
this
think it's wonderful.
issue,
Hmm.
about this issue, which is just because you're anti-Trump or more liberal in your political thought frame, not you, but one, how can somebody reconcile that with not being open on the spiritual level?
Well, we want to remind people that, again, that your responses are not just yours, but many responses to what's going on and the position of holding a safe place is a fixed position. The only way it's going to survive and evolve is if people can move with the impulses, the changes, the insights, and the needs that rise, you see.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
cannot hold a progressive, as you called it, progressive attitude and move with the evolutionary times. You see the
mm-hmm,
problem?
mm-hmm.
There has to be motion, Lori,
Yeah.
in your thinking, in their thinking.
Uh-huh.
And that's really what progressive means is, adaptive. Evolutionary is a great deal about adaptation, is it not?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So the fellow that you were speaking of is a lovely person, and he will become more adaptable,
mm-hmm.
but not today.
No, and probably not tomorrow. But who knows? Bless
Mm.
him. Bless
Fortunately, that's
him.
not our problem, but we
Bless
do
him.
tell you that it's surprising which ones evolve and open like an envelope.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been surprising to meet people that I didn't expect that from. And
Mhm.
bam, they are very open and very much
Mhm.
evolving. It's like, wow, I didn't expect that. So it can go either way, right? So,
No, it can't because go is action. Holding and going are two different things. And if you see people holding their position, just let them have that for a while. They'll change it. They'll change under duress. You understand?
okay. So, Miracris, I'm going to just guide us into something that I think a lot of people are wondering, which was this massive power outage in Spain and Portugal that happened. Was it geo? Was it cyber? Was it malfunction?
It was cyber prompted. It prompted a great deal of malfunction. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So it didn't stop. Um, there is some mischief involved, but it's not a huge revolution, which is suspected. But it is partially a revolution, meaning there are people trying to make it happen. And it it lasted what, a day? How long did it
Several,
last?
well, it depended where. It wasn't an absolute finish. There were some people who were without power for 3, 4 days. There were other
Mhm.
people where it was a day and a half. but
We
everything
see several
stopped.
things.
People
One
were
is,
stuck on trains. I mean,
wow,
everything stopped.
some of it was purposeful
Can
in the
you tell
hands of.
us who was, can you tell us who was behind it?
There's a guerrilla group, and it is made of partly of, well, we're not going to label beings, okay, but it's several different countries. You know how there's been a lot of danger in the Muslim world, the Islam world, and so on. Some of it was coming from a striation of several of those groups, the guerrilla groups that come through there.
Ah,
And it was in, what would you call it, in cahoots with several, but it went too far. There, something was triggered in such a way as, one moment. Yeah, it went too far and it triggered more of that activity, more shutting down,
mm-hmm.
especially headed farther south.
Yeah.
Yes. And there are some people who were responsible for it who were horrified at how much it went.
Mm. Will it happen again?
No, not in this way. But it's always a threat, Lori. You know that.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty massive if it's cyber, that they actually had
Mhm.
that kind of capability to
Well,
do
I
this.
started the ball rolling and the ball kept igniting, you see.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Part of the reason that it would go that way is because a lot of the infrastructures are kind of worn out or they're frayed
Mhm.
or whatever you
Yeah.
want to refer to the use, you see. So
Yes.
you start that ball rolling and it catches over here, you see.
Hmm. In MIRICRIS, can we do a little not that I'm relishing this, but I think it's kind of important to get inside the head of Kristi Noeme, the Homeland Security, the head of Homeland Security, and her recent statement when she's just so ballsy when she said anyone returned to the US will be deported again.
So what would you say was her first feeling toward them?
I'm sorry, what?
We would suggest that her first response to those people is blind rage. And that blind rage in her comes up from a childhood sexual abuse time and very, very dark. And she's very, very smart, which means that she didn't collapse and come undone. She got really poised in an anger, in a cold, not vicious, but a cold, how about voracious anger.
Mm,
And it is how, if you think about how people think and how people believe, she has this mind that has things collapsed into, I have to conquer those. Mr. Trump has a lot of that as well.
hmm.
I have to conquer all of these feelings that come to me from other people. And she wants to conquer any um, responses she would have for people who are mistreated that way. She
Mm,
wants to conquer. There's a drive in her to hold against it and follow the intellectual path, which she considers to be the intellectual path, which would not be the way you would consider the intellectual path. You understand? Because most of you will have your intellectual path coming from reaction. And the more conscious you become, that it isn't that way. But she's not particularly conscious. She's
yeah,
very, very attentive to being safer and very strong-willed about it and does not even sense or feel the kind of feelings that you would have or this one would have.
yeah.
Understand that?
Oh, yeah.
But she's very beautiful, isn't she?
No, she's not. I mean, she has long dark hair. I don't think she's beautiful at all. She looks very plastic. She's like
Oh, well, she thinks she's
plastic,
very,
plastic,
she's spending a lot of time to be beautiful.
plastic Pam Bondi. Jesus Christ. I mean, they're all cutouts from the press secretary on down. I mean, they're all
But why would
cookie
they be
cutter.
in Mr. Trump's cabinet? Why would they be plastic?
Well, and they're all really perfect cutouts,
Exactly.
the way
Exactly.
Ivanka looks, the same kind of thing. So, will she face any time? Is Kristi her fate? Is she going to face any time in prison?
No, not at this point. Not until well, possibly if Mr. Trump collapses, which we see that he will soon, and we know everybody's been raising their flags well in advance of that happening, so we know there's a delay here. But when his cabinet comes undone, she will be almost dismissed, like she has no power, no authority, and she is not regarded with any respect. But we don't see her in jail.
Ugh. I think that's one of the most infuriating things is all these people are in his administration. How many of them will ever face jail time for these atrocities?
The only good thing we can say about that, Lori, is that they do not have the sensing, feeling, knowing, and understanding
Hmm.
of what they're doing. They're all, what did you say, cutout dolls?
Yeah.
Mhm. And the fellow who was just put into he was moved from
Oh, Mike
somebody was
Walls. Mike Walls.
yes,
Yes.
he is a mere shell of his former self.
Wow.
There's nobody there. Do you understand that?
Hmm. Hmm. Wow.
So
Really?
we're saying that sometimes their punishment is going to be their whole identity is denatured by the fact that this administration is going to collapse rather than they go to jail. But they will be punished in their own, we would call it a semi-awakening.
Mm.
We see her becoming very ill and very weak.
Hmm.
And we don't wish that on anyone, but what we're trying to explain is that the punishment will come in ways that you might not expect, but there
Right.
will be punishment for them.
And what's happening with Elon Musk, who seems to be slowly, quietly disappearing?
Yes, not quite disappearing fast enough.
Yeah, but he
But
is.
he is pretty devastated at how his work is being treated. You understand that?
Yes, they've started to, a lot of, New York Times, The Atlantic, many other well-known Wall Street Journal publications have started to look into how much money did he really save? And it's nothing even close. The amount of money
Mhm.
he spent trying to save a certain amount of money that he never even hit. It's just a crock of shit, basically.
Well, you could understand that he also is a liar.
Well, yeah, and I never believed that he was worth what he said he was.
Isn't that interesting that value is worth and value are interchangeable words, and his value is really shoddy. Is
Yeah.
what he brings to the world is destruction. And also all one moment. He also has a vengeful sort of like the woman Noemi, no,
No.
Noemi.
Mm-hmm.
He has his own identity wrapped in defending himself against the authority, the oppression of authority when he was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old sexual abuse routine. We're not seeing sexual abuse with him, but definitely the suppression with
Mm-hmm.
his kind of incredibly brilliant nervous system and brain. He came out with his responses to what power would be, you see?
Mm-hmm.
But he's not saying, "Oh, I'm this and that, and it's going to affect Mary Lou down the road." He's not going into empathy and that sort of thing. He
So,
can't he can't, he can't empathize.
Right. So he's lost what, 71% in value from Tesla.
Yes.
What is the rumor is that they're trying to replace him, and then the shareholders came out and said, "Oh, we didn't say that." Are they in fact trying to replace him?
Some.
Hmm.
Some, and partly is using what would you call it? He's using control over those that he can manipulate
Hmm.
to keep him there. And there are others who are very intelligent and very clever and wanting him out, 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 out. So
Hmm.
it's going to be one of those battles. There are many of these battles in America over the next few months.
So in the
And
end,
he's not well accepted even by the women in his life.
no.
Um,
So in the end, what did he really get out of Doge? What is he
uh,
walking away with that he's gaining?
moments of fame and the power of being able to dissemble whole aspects of the government without even running for office.
Oh,
That's one part of the ego need, you see.
does he walk away with more contracts, with more money? Did he skim money?
Yes, he
Did he
did.
did
But
he
also
sell
we're saying
data?
that he is coming on, yes, data. He
He
wants
sold
more
data,
data.
didn't he?
Yep.
Yep.
And no, he still is.
Yeah. Wow.
But we see that he is going to get very, very fragile. He's going to become, you understand that he has a different nervous system than most people, and he is going to have an awful time or difficult time running his own central nervous system.
Hmm.
And we see much of the demise of these people is coming up in, and there's no easy way to capture time, trust us. But it looks like May, June.
Wow. It's right around the corner.
And it appeared for a while that he would be in jail, but at this time it appears more that he will be um, freed into his insanity sort of thing.
Wow. Will he remain in the United States?
No,
Good.
maybe he's coming to France, Lori.
I doubt it. The French would just eat him alive on the streets of
But that
France.
comment was irresistible.
I know, but the French are fierce, man. You don't duke it out with the French. They are really fierce when it comes to getting in the streets. And they're very radical in a certain way. I mean, they have a lot of history behind this whole idea of, the hierarchy, the nobility versus the peasants versus
In empires, yes. Mhm.
empires and Napoleon and oh God, you name it.
And
And
those people like Napoleon had a lot of deficiencies in their ego, morality,
yeah,
even
yeah.
if they were successful in this regard, they were not very good people.
So let's talk about somebody who, if we can admire a billionaire, this is one of them that I admire, and that is Warren Buffett, who we've talked about on the show before. Last year, he paid 21 billion in taxes. And as he said, I have no problem paying this because not everybody has the upper end or the long length of the straw, is what how he put it. He goes,
Mhm.
we need to help the people who have less of the straw. So, do you want to talk a little bit about Mr. Buffett? Because I guess he's approaching his retirement now.
He has a gift which you would appreciate. The gift is that he has an ability to radiate into the world, to bring fortunes to him. You see, is
Yeah.
you often hear this, you can draw it to yourself and so on. He didn't ever try to work at it. He
No.
just drew it to himself
Self.
naturally, heart by heart. We say step by step, but he counted on he's fair, he's honest,
Hmm.
and he counted on those ethics to bring him into positions where he could keep growing. Because deep in his heart, this gentleman wants to grow. He has more of an interest in growing than most of these people who speak of their wealth, you see?
Hmm.
And we say he's done an excellent job so far, and will probably continue even after he passes. He's not going to
Wow.
pass right now, anyway.
Amazing. Amazing.
And one of
Amazing.
the things about that for your listeners is that it's the love that keeps re-inspiring people. When you can cultivate the love, you can re-inspire yourself even when you're dulled and wounded.
Mm,
He had it by nature.
it's beautiful. Wow. Very beautiful.
Mhm.
What a role model. You know,
So you can't be that, follow that role model if you're just strictly in the third dimension, can you?
no, no,
Mhm.
not at all. Wow,
This
MIRICRIS.
is the intricacies of becoming whilst you're a human being.
Mm. Well, in closing, is there anything you'd like to leave us with?
We want to say this, which is remember love, and to the best of your ability, practice letting more and more of it in. And the other part of it is consider evolution is within all of you, have it within your grasp. And all that requires is paying attention to your inner self and taking advantage of the hints that come to you or the attractions that come to you. We won't say just the cravings that come to you, but that's a part of it too. Cravings can be a problem, but we're saying each of you has within your being the evolutionary drive and the evolutionary yearning. And that yearning comes from a certain development of cellular development in humanity that is in a very tiny, tiny etheric strength, reaching for the next level of being a human being. And when you're on that track, you won't have to pass over to reach the next step. You will find yourself awakening into evolution over and over again. It might be small sparks, but the sparks are there. So we want to say to everyone, thank you for listening. We would love some feedback. Let us know how you're doing being on the evolutionary track, and know that it's worth loving one another, even if somebody is being egregious or selfish at this point.
Hmm. It's really important to remember. Absolutely. And reaching out to our audience, thank you, everybody who subscribed. We're past 10,000 now. It's amazing. Thank you. And Veronica is going to be doing some workshops coming up, and you'll see them posted on the community page on how to sign up. And they're very affordable, and you get a lot for joining uh, from a membership level or from actually just going after the workshops themselves. So we'll be in touch about that. All
Thank you,
right.
Lori.
Pleasure. Bonne
Bye.
soirée. Bonne soirée.
Bon, Charvet.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.